Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world, you are extremely welcome to our opening ceremony for the Magic the Gathering World Championships of 2008 here in Memphis, Tennessee. Worlds is the pinnacle of the Magic year. It is the culmination of a journey that began almost 12 months ago in Stuttgart, Germany on the European Grand Prix circuit. It is a journey that has seen champions crowned in Grand Prix, Pro Tours and national championships from all four corners of the earth. Across the seasons, players have traveled in search of pro points, knowing that the final examination of their skill, their stamina, their desire awaits them here across 4 days of the best competition and the best camaraderie in gaming. And when the dust settles, the final chapter of the 2008 season will have been written. Will Shuhei Nakamura of Japan continue that proud nation's tradition of claiming the Player of the Year as their own? Can Aaron Nicastri cling to his hard-fought lead as Rookie of the Year? Can anyone topple the Big Three of Japan, France, and the home team USA in the team competition? And who will hold on to that most coveted invite, their guarantee of fun and friendship, their Pro Club invite for 2009? 25 rounds featuring Standard, Extended, Legacy and Draft will give us the answers. But Worlds showcases far more than just the best players on Earth going head-to-head. It's a celebration of everything that's great about our game. From trivia game shows to artist signings, from gunslinging to trading, and from a roundtable discussion featuring 5 of the most storied and talented people in the history of the game, to the induction ceremony for the Hall of Fame itself, this really is the ultimate Magic gathering. Add to that the most comprehensive and exciting schedule of public events ever assembled, and you can be sure that you're never far away from a new story, a new Magic experience, a new friend, or a new way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. To those of you about to compete in this test of tests, we salute you. We salute your talent, your logic, your competitiveness, your will to win, your dedication, and your love of the game that brings you across the world to compete here this week. And on Sunday, as the 15th year of Magic comes to a close, we will all be witnesses to history, as new names, new decks, and new tales will be added to the pantheon of Magic greats. Now it's time to honor the 5 outstanding gentlemen who are receiving the ultimate Magic accolade this morning, induction into the Hall of Fame. Assisting us today, we have 2 very special guests. Please welcome to the stage the Vice President of Organized Play for Wizards of the Coast, Mr. Chris Galvin, and the creator of Magic the Gathering, Mr. Richard Garfield. And now, to introduce the class of 2008, please welcome the Pro Tour historian, Mr. Brian David Marshall.
Hi everybody, welcome to the induction ceremony for the 2008 class of the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. This year's crop is an impressive group of Magic players. They always are. This is a great group. This one includes the first game's first Wonderkind, a Road Warrior still at the height of his powers, one of the most consistent players in the history of Magic, the guy who taught the Pro Tour how to draft, and a 3-time Pro Tour champion.
The United States' Ben Rubin bluffed his way past Randy Buehler into the top 8 and all the way into the finals of Pro Tour Los Angeles.
I go in for an attack, I'm sort of at the decision point. He draws a card and he does this really subtle wince, you know, and says go. It's really subtle, sort of, I'm gonna lose with top 8 on the line. And so I go for it, right? I move all in, I blow my giant growth, commit all my creatures to the board, I'm gonna kill him next turn, right? He's been baiting me the whole time. He's got the living death. I killed his creatures with my all-in attack, they all come back, all my creatures are in the graveyard, he smashes me, goes on to the top 8, finishes second at the Pro Tour. It's like 15-year-old kid, he just totally played me.
Later that year, he would make the finals of the World Championships after winning a seemingly impossible matchup against Scott Johns. His rookie campaign is made even more impressive when you consider that he did this all at the age of 15.
It was just so exciting to be that age and watch someone who was just like you doing the exact same thing and saying, hey, you know, this guy can do it. You could be that good too.
Ben would rack up 4 total Pro Tour Top 8 appearances and took 2 Masters Series titles, including a finals win over John Finkel in Chicago.
He always took his time, and he was always just like, what's the right thing to do here, right? And he always came up with it. Like a lot of people in Magic think, but Ben Rubin would always think and come to the right conclusion.
Stories about Ben Rubin are the stuff of tall tales that include refusing to draw with Kai Bude at the height of his powers, taking a 600-kilometer cab ride just to play some Magic, and winning with a no-land hand in the finals of a Grand Prix.
He has like a really impressive resume, and he's like really super good deck builder, and it's amazing. Every time I play against Ben, it's like I always feel like I'm losing no matter how good of a position I'm in, because like not only is he an insane player and his decks are usually pretty good, he always finds a way to make these obscure like so-called bad cards good, and you just never see him coming.
Ben Rubin may be the smartest person I've ever met. One of my early memories of Ben was at a GP somewhere, doesn't really matter. And I walked into the lobby and I saw Ben sitting at a sofa with another player. Well, there was a chessboard between them and they were playing a game of chess. The thing is that Ben was facing completely the opposite direction, and he played the entire game without ever looking at the board.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States, Ben Rubin.
France's Olivier Ruel is rewriting the Magic history books.
Olivier Ruel's resume is just like no one else's. He has, I don't know, countless GP top 8s, 5 or 6, I don't know how many, PD top 8s. He's there all the time.
He recently took over the top spot for Grand Prix top 8s with a staggering 25 and counting.
He's got an unbelievable number of Grand Prix top 8s and wins, and in a couple years, he's going to pass Kai Bude for #1 all-time on the pro point list. He's very charismatic, an ambassador for the game, and he's got a little bit of that Carl Ripken, where he's been dedicated all day, every day for 10 years, and he's going to continue to do this. He loves the game more than almost anybody.
He just passed John Finkel in lifetime pro points and has Kai Bude squarely in his sights. Olivier has made the top 8 of a Pro Tour 5 times, and once he has gotten there, has never finished worse than 4th.
And I think Olivier also, his attitude towards the game and just his carefree, let's laugh and have a good time, and I'm going to wear a Pooh Bear around as a backpack. I think, it really shows that like his approach to the game was something different.
In 2006, Olivier and his brother Antoine both made the top 8 of Pro Tour Honolulu, marking the first time siblings have made the top 8 of a Pro Tour in individual competition.
Olivier Ruel? Who's that? Best guy I know, probably the best player I know, actually. Like his dedication to the game, as his brother, I can tell you, he loves the game, he plays a lot, he plays very well, and he's doing a lot for the game itself.
Considered to be the class clown of the pro community, Olivier has brought together the European, Asian, and North American Magic communities with the joy he brings to the game, while getting top marks at every level of competition along the way.
I've seen him at all over the place, including the 2 times in Moscow, which were just that much different events, and he's always manages to find a way to communicate with everybody wherever he is.
He teaches me English. I hope finally we speak Japanese. I respond English.
I love the way Olivier has just embraced the Pro Tour lifestyle. I mean, it's awesome to be able to travel the world, play this game, meet friends, you're making enough money along the way to pay the bills and, live a decent life. And Olivier's probably embraced that more than anybody. I mean, he spends weeks in Japan for a Japanese Grand Prix. It's just his ability to sort of make friends and hang out and have fun, and he's just always got that smile on his face. I really love the way he's embraced that lifestyle and personified that lifestyle.
When you think about Magic, you think Olivier.
Ladies and gentlemen, France's Olivier Ruel.
The Netherlands' Jelger Wiegersma is one of the most consistent performers in history, playing at the top tables of Day 2 for as long as he has been on the Pro Tour.
I think the thing that makes you really good as a Magic player is that you can consistently put up top 16, top 32. I mean, you got to get a little bit lucky to make a top 8. I mean, if you're really good, you're in position to do it, you'll put up the results, and, you know, Jelger's got to win and a collection of top 8s. But the thing was, every Pro Tour, he was in the money.
Jelger debuted at Pro Tour Chicago with what would become a trademark top 16 finish, with Back to Basics Blue. It was also the first time he would bring one of his unique deck designs to a Pro Tour, an oft-overlooked aspect of his career.
Jelger's always been about innovative decks. I remember this one time when we were testing for Mercanium Mask blocks, and Jelger, like, basically there were some obvious decks out there, the Rebel deck, for example, but the first deck Jelger built was a deck which had like 36 creatures and 24 lands, with like the Mongers in the format, and it was a green-white deck with just all guys, and he called it the farm because Jelger grew up on a farm. And ever since he built that deck for that format and tested it, because like he ended up not playing it, but every format after that he tries to build a deck with like a lot of guys in it. So he always at one point shows up with the farm or a version of the farm.
While Jelger regularly finishes in the money, he is no stranger to the Sunday stage and has 3 top 8 appearances, including a team win with Von Dutch at Pro Tour Seattle.
You could tell from the time he was very young, because when he started he was very young. You tell this guy he was going to play, and he was going to get really, really good.
While Jelger tends to keep a lower profile than many of his contemporaries, he is one of the most popular players among the pros.
He's not a player that is in the spotlights all the time, but he's putting up consistent finish after consistent finish, like a top 16 and a top 32 and another top 16. And in the pro community, like we notice that, and we all know that when you play against Jelger, oh, you're playing against a really good player.
He is a first choice as a late night drafting partner and was voted by his peers into the Magic Invitational.
Jelger is a very personable player who's he's known all the different eras. Like back in the day, he was friends with all the pros, and even now he's friends with all the pros, and he's been continuing to put up success in every year. I mean, he was doing very, very well 10 years ago, and here he just won a Grand Prix a couple months ago.
Every year he's been, you know, amongst the top 10 players in the world, and when you show that kind of consistency, I mean, you have to be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Netherlands, Jelger Wiegersma.
The United States' Mike Turian is widely acknowledged as one of the top limited players of all time.
Mike Turian is a close friend of mine. I played on a team with him for a little while, and he's one of the players who really taught the Pro Tour how to draft.
He's made the top 8 of a Pro Tour 5 times, and by all indications would have continued to rack up results.
Mike Turian will forever be the dream crusher for me. He played against me in my first Pro Tour top 8 and just 3-0'd me, just literally destroyed me, and I thought my deck was like so good. Like I had other people in that Pro Tour top 8 tell me they thought my deck was so good, and they didn't. Like, they're like, "How'd you lose to Turian?" I'm like, honestly, even after witnessing the games, like I still don't believe it. You know, like he just beat me with these little beaters and just kept on sending them in, and I just couldn't do a thing about it.
He retired from the game at the height of his powers with 2 limited top 8s in the same season, and a total of 5 for his career.
Mike can win with the worst cards. It's crazy. He doesn't need actual cards to win with. I played a team event with him. It was me, Eric Lauer, and Mike Turian, and Eric and I just felt spoiled because Team Rochester, we got to take all the good cards. Mike just wanted like dorky green creatures, and that somehow he'd win more games than we would. You know, we finished 7th in that tournament. It was disappointing because we had this just awesome secret weapon.
You know, he beat me with like just the funkiest cards that like I would never even dream about playing, and like he got me to respect all these cards that just, you know, he just thinks in a different way.
He has 1 win as leader of the eponymous Potato Nation at Pro Tour New York in 2000.
It had been a really tough weekend. There'd been a lot of other stuff going on. We were all exhausted. We're all laying there in bed in the room. We're talking about the next day, and just somewhere out of the blue, I say, you know, I think we're the best team. I think we're going to make it, but you guys are so good that I'm happy to have come this far. If we don't make it, And Mike's like, what the hell are you talking about? We're going to win, and I'm going to be completely upset and disappointed if we don't take it. We're the best players there. We are going to win, and that's how we have to go in.
Mike is currently a Magic R&D developer, which does not allow him to play professionally any longer, but that doesn't mean he still can't attack for two. Mike regularly comes to Pro Tours to gunsling against the public and can be often found drafting late into the night against the next generation of the game's best.
Every time he comes to a Pro Tour, he's like, who wants to draft? Who wants to draft? Wizards employee, and still loves the game, loves playing against competitive players.
I interviewed Mike and I said, give me 5 words that describe Magic the Gathering, what it means to you in 5 words or less. First word out of his mouth, love. He bleeds Magic. He's a big part of the past of Magic, the present of Magic, and the future of Magic.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States' own Mike Turian.
Germany's Dirk Baberowski took the Pro Tour by storm with a victorious debut at Pro Tour Chicago 1998 and Urzur's Saga Rochester draft. He went on to win the Rookie of the Year title and quickly established himself as one of the most respected players on the tour, with 5 top 8s at Pro Tour level play.
It's hard to pinpoint what exactly makes a person a great Magic player, but Dirk Baberowski has this natural talent that just comes out whenever he plays. Dirk Baberowski is just one of the persons that was destined to play Magic when he was born.
As a member of Phoenix Foundation, he would win 2 more Pro Tours, and he is one of only 3 players in the game's history with at least 3 Pro Tour wins.
I think that's really straightforward. 2 words in team play that were synonymous almost worldwide with "you lose," Phoenix Foundation. So Dirk, with Marco and Kai, almost everyone else turned up to those Pro Tours pretty much knowing they were playing for second. That's incredible in a world as competitive as Magic.
Baberowski also has a Masters Series title to his credit, winning the deciding match for his team against Taro Ishida in Osaka, showing why he was a pivotal piece of the most dominating team in the history of the Pro Tour.
Phoenix Foundation is not Kai's team, it's Dirk Baberowski's team.
But it would be a mistake to dismiss Dirk's individual accomplishments, which range from multiple Pro Tour Sundays to a finals appearance in the European Championships to playing a pivotal role in many European players taking part in the Pro Tour.
Dirk Baberowski won his PT way before he was known to be Kai's teammate. And back then he was already great.
So with Dirk, I always felt he was one of the just great players that a lot of people didn't know right off the bat. His Pro Tour, his initial Pro Tour win came pretty early. I think he flew under the radar a lot of people that weren't necessarily following the tour very closely back then. And then when he came back on the radar, I think it was often in the shadow of Kai. But the players that really knew what was going on, Kai's great. I had the pleasure of working with him for many years. He definitely was the real thing. But Dirk was too, and I don't know how many people knew that for a while, that it wasn't just Kai, that Dirk was a big part of that.
At the time I was starting working more closely on the Pro Tour and organized play in general. So it was really the days where it was very, very difficult just to discuss and to talk or to get attention on the Pro Tour without, seeing the name of Dirk popping in. It's like, just like, Dirk, Marco and Kai was just like writing the pages of the Pro Tour at that time.
I think Dirk is one of the most talented guys to ever play the game. Just flat out, straight up. There's very rarely has anyone brought that level of talent to the table.
That's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, Germany's Dirk Baberowski. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2008 Pro Tour Hall of Fame class.